So this one time, my then husband asked if it was cool if he could go to martial arts class twice a week on evenings. And I flooded, like I couldn't speak. And I couldn't even think about it without crying. And I asked myself for days, like, why does that feel like devastation? He's not leaving. He just wants to go to dojo. Why did it feel like the end of the world for me? And I think today I'm ready to talk about what it was and how it had nothing to do with the dojo. So let me introduce a term called flooding. I learned about it from John Gottman, who studied couples for decades. And for him, flooding is a state in which your heart rate rises above about 100 beats a minute. Your body enters this survival mode, and your rational brain, the frontal cortex, the part that thinks calmly, makes decisions, and communicates, just shuts down. And you are not necessarily overreacting when you flood. You're just not able to respond with your full cognitive ability. Your body, or what they call the lizard brain, the survival brain, took over. The part that goes into fear, flight, freeze, and fawn, that part. The Gottmans found that flooding is a problem in relationships because you are not able to go through conflict or situations using all of your capacities. And it's not because you're too emotional, but it's because you've been triggered by something that your nervous system has coded as a threat. So now my question is not, why was I so sensitive to him going out 2 times a week? It was more of, what has this situation taught me that my nervous system fears? It was 2 things. In previous videos, I had talked about the infidelity and me being afraid when he would go out to questionable places. So in a sense, dojo should be like an awesome place, really highly accountable. It should have been fine. But around the same time, I had a toddler, and my husband and I had this conversation about what he called delegation. His framing was that strong leadership meant that a leader delegates tasks to others, and those people execute them. And he was describing our marriage, where he was the delegator and I was the executor. There were tasks he didn't want to do, and in my opinion, acted like they were below him, or there were things I just wanted to do. They were not necessary, so it's my responsibility. This was a time where I was overwhelmed with taking care of a home, a toddler, and I just needed somebody around. And to add to this, I had started going to evening school. I was going to the school 4 times a week, and he sprung up a month after I started the school that, oh, by the way, he wanted to start going 2 times a week, 2 of the nights I would be in school. So suddenly I had a new task, which was getting childcare and figuring that out every week. And I sat in that conversation holding my tongue. I was really trying to stop myself from reacting. And I asked, why? Why was it such a problem for me? And I realized that it's because it felt like abandonment to me. Going to dojo, delegating tasks. I didn't feel like a partner. And it wasn't just like being unfair or inconvenient. It just felt like I was abandoned, like this thing was mine alone. Sue Johnson in Love Sense says that what humans really need from their closest relationships are accessibility, responsiveness, and engagement. We need to know that our partners are there and that they will turn towards us when we reach out to them reliably, and that they are generally present. And when these 3 things are chronically absent, when you reach out to them and you're met with withdrawal, delegation, or indifference, your attachment system starts going into alarm, not because you're needy, but because you're human. I started recording these things. And I would either talk to myself or talk to God, praying, trying to figure out what was wrong with me. And I remember asking, why does help from him matter so much to me? And why does it matter more than hiring somebody else for help? Yes, we could get a babysitter to take care of the kid 2 nights a week. But what I finally got to was this. It's not that I didn't want him to go out. I wanted him to really, genuinely love his life. I did not want to take that from him. But what I didn't want was to feel alone in this job of homekeeping. And when he went out, I felt alone. And when he didn't help around the house, I felt alone. And when he didn't engage with our son, I felt alone. So the underlying feeling, the one that the flooding was protecting, was loneliness. There's a quote that I used that I felt really described my marriage. It said, "You rob me of the joy of solitude, but you deprive me of the benefit of companionship." And that was what I felt. And it was something that was new for me. I got moderately what I needed as a child. I had a horrible teenage time, but I had a lot of good friends in college. So I got used to being able to receive from people when I asked, when I called, they were there, male and female. So it became a surprise to me getting married and calling on a spouse and having very unpredictable responses. And not unpredictable responses because of availability, like they were sick or they were at work or something. No, it was, I don't feel like doing that. And there was this moment, but it was one of the most freeing moments of my marriage. It was the moment I understood that what it was I was grieving. I was grieving desires and wishes that I would never see fulfilled in my life, that I would never receive help from him in the household things. I would never receive the emotional presence I needed. That these things, the things I actually needed as a human being, were permanently locked off in this relationship. And I had to sit with that grief, dying of this ideal marriage that you thought you were getting into that was not going to exist. It deserved to be mourned. And once I stopped hoping that that door would be open, I actually stopped spending energy on it. And that was where I hit the moment of the time when the wife was always complaining, just go silent. This was the day I started going silent. I started making clear-eyed decisions. I started living my own life. I stopped looking to him and waiting for him to partner. And I just started doing it again by myself. I started developing better female friends. I started creating a network. I dipped in stronger into church. And I became full in that way. If you're in the beginning of trying to understand what is happening in your marriage, here's what I have to say for you practically. First, the first time you flood, don't fight the feeling. Don't criticize yourself for it. Journal. And when you're calm, ask yourself, what was that feeling underneath the surface? What was the need that you were being met? A lot of us were taught not to have needs or to minimize our needs. So even knowing and being able to verbally express what it is that we needed is hard. So we need practice doing it. Then read books on attachment. I love Levine's book on attachment. I love Hold Me Tight and Love Sense by Sue Johnson. And that attachment framework gave me the language to express what I was experiencing that I'd never heard before. Understanding that I was anxiously attached and I was always chasing and I had an avoidantly attached spouse, and that this was a dynamic that we were both creating together, allowed me to detach. It allowed me to start giving myself the needs that I needed. And also seeing that I was reasonable, accessibility, responsiveness, engagement. I wasn't being needy or demanding. Yes, I was asking for it in not the healthiest of ways, but it was things that I should have had from the very beginning. And third, please ask yourself the questions. Are the needs I have in this relationship being met, or are they permanently locked off? Not temporary, permanently, because that changes the response to every decision you're going to make after that. So finally, in closing, your flooding is not an overreaction. Your loneliness is real, and your needs are legitimate. Your instincts, even the ones you've been white-knuckling and taught to override, they're right. Now let's work on healthy ways to get what we need. So please subscribe and drop a comment. I have listed some books that you should read. Try and find a counselor or a very safe person to talk to, and I'll see you in the next one. Stay well.